Everyone, welcome back to Geekvolution After Dark. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And tonight I'm playing Tiny Pac-Man. That's what I'm currently doing. What are you doing, Eric?
Will that pick up the sound?
Yeah.
Like, will they actually be able to hear that you're playing? Because I feel like they wouldn't believe you. They would think like it's just a prop.
And it's not.
It really is Tiny Pac-Man.
Yeah. I mean, if I really cared that much, I could go back in later and put in the... Yeah, no, I'm playing it right now. I mean, I wish I had a magnifying glass.
It's very tiny.
Because after a while, you just start, like, squinting it. But it's funny, because I'm not that great at Pac-Man. And, okay, and like, you can say the obvious joke if you want to, but are you good at Miss Pac-Man? No, I'm not great at Pac-Man, but, the first time I picked this up, but the first time I picked this up, I beat, like, 2 screens without dying. You're right, it does feel like it's
I don't know if Miss Pac-Man is easier than Pac-Man normally.
Right, but doesn't Miss Pac-Man just get harder as it goes along?
I don't know, but I played a stage or 2 of that, and it felt like the ghost just didn't want to be around me.
But yeah, this is a keychain, and it's a fully functioning Miss Pac-Man machine, and it's kind of great. It's the whole arcade machine. But anyway, that's what I'm doing right now. What are you doing, Eric?
I guess I was waiting for us to start shooting.
Oh, cool. Yeah, well, I mean, it's after dark, so you can do whatever you want to, you know?
True.
I thought I'd play Pac-Man.
I can go get those Aquaman trains.
You know?
Start reading well, I can finish the Usagi Dream. I can do it for it.
Got a lot to do. Yeah, well, I feel like I can multitask better than you could, though.
Well, I mean,
doing this.
Playing a game and talking is different than reading and talking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can pull up my Ninja Turtles game.
Although
the
big difference, I mean, where you would have, kind of the advantage over me, I think, in reading instead of doing this is that would not fuck up your eyes, like just reading.
Oh,
this will fuck up my eyes.
I thought you were just gonna say like I can't lose reading if I'm distracted for a minute.
That's true. You can't. Okay, well, I'm sorry, Miss Pac-Man, but you're gonna have to go back to video game oblivion anyway. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you. Thanks for your support on Patreon. We, of course, really appreciate it. So once again, as promised, here is Geekvolution After Dark. Every couple weeks of uncensored, crazy, and unpredictable talk, and sometimes just us playing video games, not even paying attention to you, not even showing you the gameplay. You never know what might happen here on Geekvolution After Dark. Tonight, although one thing you can be sure of is we're probably going to have some topics on our phones, and we're going to talk about them.
I just added one. I just added a major one that I don't know how I forgot to put here.
Well, that's cool, but didn't you already have like 7? So I guess you're just going to pick and choose?
I realized, because I said I didn't...
Would you like to run the show tonight? I mean, I'm just digging around playing Pac-Man. would you like to run the show this evening?
I mean, I don't know how much running there is. We just go back and forth.
Well, that's true, but I mean, you can just have all the topics, and I'll just nod and smile.
Oh, we can just go through all of my topics.
No, I have a couple things I'd like to talk about, most assuredly.
But yeah, no, there was a major one that you were like, well, we have to talk about that. And I'm like, yes, of course. And I just remembered that. I was like, how was it not on mine?
It might be on my list, though.
It's not. I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's not.
Well, anyway.
It's very personal to me.
Well, yeah, but there were a couple things that we talked about that I was like, I'll go ahead and put.
Does it involve the mail?
No!
Yeah, I forgot to put the mail on my...
The mail is very important. It's, in fact, paramount, and I'm really glad that you put that on there, because, yes, that story is insane and ridiculous, and dare I say hilarious, but I apologize that...
Still no word, by the way.
Oh, and this... No one's gonna... Just carry on. No one's even gonna care about this, but, we have got to get your car figured out. We have got to do that.
Drew says...
It's got a flat. Did you see it?
No!
That's got a flat. Yeah.
So I'm getting a tire?
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you might be able to patch it.
It's because of the cold.
Yeah. No, I told you if you don't drive it.
I know, but how am I supposed to drive without plates?
Just run on the block and hope you don't get caught. But you got to drive it every now and again, or it's gonna get a flat tire. I told you that.
I know you did.
Sorry I'm telling you about it in here, but it just occurred to me, and I was like, you should probably know your car's got a flat.
Nope, that's.
I thought maybe you just knew already.
Nope, I didn't know.
I'm sorry. Now we gotta do a show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no.
But we've got to go get that taken care of.
Apparently, we might be able to get it get a letter just notarized.
Oh, okay. Good.
And there's a guy at the store next to where I work that is a notary.
Good.
And so I'm going to talk to him tomorrow.
See if you can do it.
At work and see if he has any idea what kind of form we would have to, like, what we'd have to write or, you know, anything like that. But, yeah. Yep.
So, I got a new watch. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
I got a smartwatch Fitbit thing. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. We're living in the future now. I'm going to put 1 hour on the clock on my watch. And it is counting down now. So let's go ahead and get started. Eric, what would you like to chat about first, sir?
Do you want me to start with the mail, or should I?
Yeah, start with the mail. Let's
Okay.
bitch about the mail, Eric.
All right, let's talk about the mail. So my family came down to visit. For those that don't know, my family actually moved from Florida to Colorado Springs, so they're now about 8 hours above us.
Are you
More to
sure
the side.
Colorado Springs is that way?
Well, I said up.
I thought that was like space or heaven
I
or
don't
something.
know.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know what way north is.
All right.
And they're
Pretty
not
sure
going
it's
to be
not-
able to check.
Pretty sure it's not in the ceiling though.
Well,
We
no,
can
but
pretty sure.
But people come up, come
Due
down
north.
to you, or up, or
Oh, I
you know,
see.
they're up from you.
I see. It's relative up and down,
Basic
right?
directions.
Mhm.
But so my
Looking at,
family
like, a
moved about 8
two-dimensional
hours
plane.
away,
Sorry.
and my mother had to go down to Florida to deal with some stuff, and my siblings drove down here to visit me. We're gonna pick her up at the airport, come here, visit for a day. And we were supposed to do like all of our Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
And my siblings forgot to pick up. My mom ordered all of my presents came from Amazon, by the way.
They could have just come here.
My mother could have just ordered them here, but she didn't want me to like get them and then like them be sitting here, or I would open them before they got here. So she ordered them to them, and then bring them down. My siblings forgot to get them and bring them down. So my mom was like, "Okay, well when we get back, we'll just mail them to you." So my mother mails them to me about 4 days after she said she was going to mail them. But that's my mother, and maybe like a week goes by.
I'll send her a message, tell her she should be a patron.
Yeah. Maybe like a week goes by, and my mom's like, "Hey, have you gotten your package?" I'm like, "No, but you know, there's been 2 holidays, you know, Christmas and New Year's, you know, I haven't got my package." And then I get an envelope. Inside of the envelope is a piece of a box, almost like a ransom note. Is a piece of the box my mother sent me. Just the piece of the box with my address, as if it was strategically cut off of the box, that just with a completely nondescript letter, that's just a...
Look like a form letter.
Yeah, like a form stock letter.
From USPS.
That's just like, something's... And from Georgia. Why would it have even gotten to the Georgia post office? It was
know.
like...
Was it airmail? Was there a layover? I don't understand what's going on.
It was like, well, your stuff got damaged, and we tried to fix it, but we couldn't fix it. But then the other part of it made it seem like, or maybe it's lost. Like, it could be...
We'll try really hard to find whatever pieces of it we can.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, so you can send in this form, or preferably, and it puts preferably, you can enter it on the website. And I was like, okay, well, that's probably easier. So I go on the website, and I enter it in on the website. And I was fucking pissed. Because you were there while I was doing it.
Yes, I was.
We were watching that documentary thing, and it wants you to be as descriptive as possible. And
oh yeah, this is when we were watching the toy documentary.
yeah, this is when we were watching the toy documentary. It wants you to be as descriptive as possible. And so I just went to Amazon and got pictures, because it's all books and DVDs. Like, this is what people get me. And so I just put like pictures and some descriptions. Like, I put the author's name, I put like the title, and then in the actual description box, some of it was manga. It's Gundam mangas. I just put manga, and it's in the graphic novel section. Like, they have like brackets where it's like you pick like what type of item was it, and there's like media, and then it's like DVD, books, and then you go to books, and it's like graphic novels.
That specific?
Yeah, I can get that specific. So,
but they still said you weren't specific enough.
For a bunch of these items, it said I wasn't specific enough, and so I was like.
And remember, he's not dealing with a person. This is just their form.
There is no fucking phone number. There is no way to get hold of any person.
And you don't know where these things are. And they obviously don't, and they couldn't give you like an actual address.
It seems like they're in fucking Georgia.
So it's not like there's anywhere you can go.
And
so it's not a real ransom, because it looked like a ransom, but it's not like they're holding your... They don't know where any of this stuff is.
No, and what pisses me off is...
How did it even happen? How did they end up with just
How did they end
the
up with
address?
just the address? How does that even fucking... Because it looks like it was cut off.
But can we mention, without throwing her too far under the bus, why we have...
Why I had to deal with this?
Here?
Well, hold on. Because let me finish bitching about the USPS
go ahead.
before we talk about why it's so ridiculous that I have to deal with this.
I mentioned that because I'm sure people are wondering if they're still even listening to this
Why
part,
I had to deal with this.
Why it even came here in the first place.
Okay,
as opposed to the return address.
So, here's what really pisses me off. Well, okay, so I was going through the description, and it's like not enough information. And I don't know. It doesn't give you any.
What else can you say? Like
it doesn't
thrills.
It doesn't give you any indication of why there's not enough information.
Mm-hmm.
So, on one of them, I just added in the description because it just said manga. I was like, "Look, I included a fucking picture. I don't know what else I can do." That was enough. You just needed more words in the description box.
If you swore at it.
Yeah. And so I just repeated that for all of them.
Did it work?
Yes, they were all accepted.
Interesting.
I just needed more words in the basic description, but that pisses me off.
I never heard the end game of that.
Because, well, here's the thing. So
I didn't know it ever went through. I thought you were just...
No, it did go through.
In limbo with it.
It did go through. Here's the thing. While it does get my address, nothing indicates, like, what, does it just go to all of the thousands of post offices across the country?
Yeah.
How do they fucking know where to look?
Yeah.
And there's no accountability. Because one of the questions is asked is there insurance? And I was like, I know she didn't get insurance, which means I'm fucked.
You can be sure it's all in that Georgia building.
There is no accountability for this. What do I do with this? My mom's not going to rebuy this shit. Like, it was probably at least $200.
What's the deal with the post office?
It's probably $200 worth of merchandise. There's no way to talk to anyone. And, honestly, I don't want to talk to anyone because I'm going to be an asshole. And I don't want to be the asshole customer.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be the guy that shows up.
The thing is, it's not going to be the fault of anyone you talk to because they have no idea who handled
but I'm going to be so angry. Like, my opening, like, if I go into a post office, I'm going to be like, look, motherfuckers, you take off every single goddamn day you can find. This shit can't happen. You owe me money, or you need to buy these things off Amazon right now. This is unacceptable.
And of course, there's no insurance, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. They're the government.
Like, okay, so can I ask you the question that might most make you fly off the handle? Because we haven't even had this conversation. Was there anything in that you were like really hoping to get?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
The Jack Kirby Fourth World Omnibus.
Oh, was that in there?
That's a $150 book. I mean, it's $90 on Amazon, but the Jack Kirby Fourth World Omnibus was the big one. I mean, I was excited for all of it.
So, like,
that was the big one.
So you're not talking about like nickel and dime trinkets. Like, I'm just trying to give people a context.
Okay.
Of what was in this box.
So I can tell you everything that was in the box.
Yeah.
It was the Jack Kirby Fourth World Omnibus.
We haven't even talked about this. You didn't tell me what it was.
So it was the Jack Kirby Fourth World Omnibus. It was all of the 5 currently released volumes of a series called Gundam Thunderbolt, which is a manga series, which they've been making into an anime, which is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and is all about jazz music. I mean,
that's cool.
Relative to giant robots.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to know how that translates, or how that starts in a manga, because it starts as manga, which is unusual for Gundam. Gundam's usually anime first.
Yeah. That sounds really interesting, actually.
A trilogy of the original Gundam movie trilogy, which I don't own, and so that's all the items. That's about $30 to $50. Each of the individual mangas are between $15 and $20, and that Jack Kirby Omnibus is, I think, $90 on Amazon, but retails for $150. That's upwards of $200. They just fucking lost, and there was no accountability, and there's nothing that I can do. And so I send in a request, and they're like, "Okay, we will email you periodic updates." I've yet to get anything.
Really?
Yeah. Oh man, and the reason that I'm having to deal with all of this, which I feel very unqualified to do, I feel like my mom should be dealing with this, is she put the return address as my address, which she says she doesn't usually do, but because it's Christmas present, she wanted to make
that was the thing she does all the time.
That's how it originally sounded.
You said it was a trick she uses, which
that's what she said to me. That's what she said, and I was like, hey. Maybe don't do this because...
Yeah, if you get the address wrong or they can't find it, then it's going to be a limbo. You're never going to find it. It's going to be out in space.
And she was like, well, it was just because I don't usually do this, but because it was Christmas gifts, I wanted to make sure
I love your mom. I don't mean to be negative about your mom. I just... That's logic I've never heard before. That's
no,
really weird.
It makes no sense to me. So... So fuck the post office, and like I hate the helplessness of it. I hate that
there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing I can do. I have no idea of when this will be rectified. Like, I could wake up tomorrow and they could just drop it off at my fucking house.
But that's not going to happen because they gave you the address off the box.
Yeah, but the return address on the box is still my address.
So they might have the other side of that address. Like,
now, I have once before had a major incident.
Hilarious. Actually.
I have once before had a major incident with the post office, which is a friend of mine from YouTube, J-Train, had sent me a birthday or Christmas present, and I never got it, and he went to the post office like, no, it was delivered. About 6 months later, it just showed up.
That's weird.
Yep, just showed up.
Okay.
Fell behind somebody's seat or something, I assume. But there's just, fuck the post office, like, there's no accountability for this. There's no, and they don't
really
care.
A real efficient organization, and I won't go into it. I've had many run-ins with the post office because I used to be on eBay.
Yeah, I bet
anybody that ever worked at eBay, you know, full-time or even part-time, I'm sure has had weird instances of stupid stuff with the post office.
Yep. I hate that there's nothing I can do, and that stuff's probably lost. I'm probably never gonna get it.
I'm sorry, man.
Yep. What's your topic?
It's awful. You've had some luck, man.
Yep.
You've had some interesting luck.
Yep, and the car thing,
recently.
Which is just one thing after another.
Yeah, we'll get that all figured out.
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing I want to mention is, let me go ahead and get Batman Year out of the way. I want to just do a little bit of, like, house cleaning stuff here, and then just kind of, I guess, vent about this weird place I'm at with Batman Year. I just want to talk about it with you guys on Patreon, because I'm sure there's some folks wondering about it. Back in October, or back before October, we announced that Batman Year was finally happening. Originally, it was supposed to be even a year ago. This has been this weird, in-progress thing for a very long time. And, yeah, it's funny, we're coming into the 4th year after Spawn Year now. The 4th year. And Spawn Year's been about 3.5 years, you know, since we
It feels so much longer
finished
ago.
that. It does, but we put that out. But it's just, but at the same time, it doesn't to me because I feel like I've been working on Batman Year for 2 years, but I haven't like posted a frame of footage.
Right.
And so it's really weird. But anyway, so we wrapped on Spawn Year in officially in October of 2014. And the last episode went up Halloween that year, which is almost an irony now with what's going on with this. And the sequel to Spawn Year was supposed to start. We decided it was going to be a Batman thing, and a long time ago. I mean, I didn't even announce that it was Batman until, you know, a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And we decided it was going to be a Batman thing in 2015, and we were going to try to get started in 2016. And for various reasons, it didn't happen when it was supposed to, and a lot of that had to do with the costume. And the reason it's taken this long is still because of a costume. And so when you got here, I was kicking around. Am I going to go ahead and start it now? I'd already written the prologue, and I was like, "Are we going to go ahead and start posting it now, or can we get it all together?"
Start shooting and just hope we can shoot the rest of it when we get the costume.
Yeah, and
which is, I guess, a good thing we didn't do that.
Overall, ultimately, yeah, except for the whole I have a baby coming now, which is going to really complicate things. So,
but you would have had it like. It would be done now, but without any of that footage shot. Like, you could have all of the review stuff done.
Yeah.
If you were shooting just the stuff that you didn't need that stuff for.
Which makes me sound like an idiot for not just going ahead and doing that, so thanks for that.
No, it doesn't, because you don't need... Because as we've talked about, you aren't going to know how that stuff progresses and how it affects the rest of it.
I don't want to get too far... So, I'm all over the place.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're fine, no problem. So here's the thing. With regards to that, I didn't want... I initially thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had the whole thing written before we started shooting a frame? And I started writing, and I got a little bit into it, and I realized that, like with Spawn Year, I didn't have a sense exactly of what it was tonally until I started actually shooting it. And so if I got too far in, I could have everything written and then start shooting and want to take it in different directions that I can't now because I'm stuck. You know what I mean? Because I'm married to the material that I've already written. And so too much of the creative process happens in the camera and then in the editing room that I can't get too far ahead of myself. And if I had done that with Spawn Year, it wouldn't be what it is. And like
you were just being that blog in a prologue,
right? And strike that, reverse
yeah,
it.
strike that.
And you wouldn't have the what I ended up thinking it turned out to be a super cool I guess twist, but the idea that the whole thing is a recreation of real events. This meta thing, you wouldn't have had that if I'd done it that way, and you wouldn't have the Spawn suit, and there's a million things you wouldn't have. So I wanted to be careful not to get too far away from the process that made the original what it is, and it's a sequel to that, so shouldn't we sort of, at least to some degree, be working with the same progress, except maybe have a better sense of where we're going in the first place, and because it's building on something we of course have to, because we're in a pretty well-established, pre-established world. So, so that's the reason, ultimately, that I don't think it would have been smart to go ahead and shoot a bunch of stuff before we got the suit. Because the suit's not going to be used everywhere like the Spawn Year suit was. The suit I'm wearing, I'm playing a lot of the parts, so I mean, I'm wearing both of these suits. But the costume that fictional Captain Logan is wearing when I'm doing the review is a suit that I bought for this almost 2 years ago now, the 60s Batman suit.
You wore it on the Patreon chat for last Halloween.
I did, yeah, which I had just bought so we could make Spawn Year, or so we could make Batman Year.
Yep.
Okay, so fast forward to now, and what's going on is Pierce, who's my latex guy and who's wonderful.
He made the Spawn suit.
And I'm not throwing him under the bus when I say that he has held us up with this.
Did he make all the suits? He made the Coke Redeemer. He made the Spawn suit.
He made everything.
Stocky Frank Miller Batman.
Yeah.
All of the suit work in Spawn,
which is all just brilliant. The only thing he didn't do is sewing. He doesn't sew. So I had to get a seamstress, and I work with Brandon's sister Jennifer, who's a professional seamstress and works for a costume shop, and one of her coworkers. It's really cool, all the connections I have. She wasn't able to make the cape I needed for this suit, so one of our coworkers agreed to do it. And but like I've already got some money sunk into this, and so but I have that. It's just been waiting for since August, for this. So anyway, long story short, if that's even possible at this point,
too late.
Pierce. And I hope he doesn't mind my talking about this. It was national news, so I'm sure he won't mind that I mentioned.
Was it national news?
It was national news.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Pierce's house got burned down in 2015, I guess it was, or was it toward the beginning of 2016?
It was.
It must have been.
It was the beginning of 2017, because I moved here in 2016. And it was after I moved here.
Was it after you moved
here?
Oh,
it was after I moved here.
That it actually happened?
Yeah.
No, you're right, it was. Because that's why he wasn't able to make it for that year. Everything's running together for me now.
Yes.
Okay, so anyway,
because I think by then you'd made the decision to move it for production for the year.
Yeah,
before his house burned out.
So Pierce had the suit done. We're talking over a year ago. It was pretty much finished, but his house burned down, and we'll never know what happened, and if someone is responsible or what the whole deal was. But his house got burned down, and it was awful, and he wasn't able to move into a new house for quite a while. They had to go back in it for a while. And it was apparently condemned, but for various reasons they still had to live there for a while, and it was a whole thing. And now he's got a nice new house, and he's able to do latex work again. And this was a couple months before we were going to get started. He was like, maybe 3 or 4 months, he was like, I'm set up now. I was going to go ahead and just give you the old suit, which was in the fire, but was finished, and we could just paint it, and it would be okay. But he was like, I've got some new ideas. I think I can make it better. I'd like to start again. And he's relatively fast, so I was like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. And for various reasons, he wasn't able to get it done on time. And so, if he had just given me that last suit, we would be well into it by now. So it's done now, and he's giving it to me on Thursday, and I'm so excited. And of course, I'm very grateful for him for doing it. And he's gonna work on another suit, which hopefully he'll have time to actually do a little bit quicker. For the something that we'll need by the end of Batman Year, which I don't want to talk about yet. But anyway, because a lot of this hinges on another suit. So anyway, I am, as I'm sure you can tell, just watching this, really, really nervous about this project. Because I have to make it in a very short window now if it's going to get made at all. It is 52 episodes, so obviously way shorter than Spawn Year overall, but the episodes are longer. There's more to sink your teeth into because
there's going to be story stuff every episode.
We're doing, well, and because we're doing Nightfall, and I just have more to say. It's a better story. It's a more cohesive thing. It's not retconning itself every few issues. You know what I mean? Like I'm reviewing an ongoing story that is actually a real, honest to God, ongoing, moving forward, knows where it's going, and has really interesting, you know, ideas and thematic stuff and character things to sink your teeth into and talk about. So the review portions themselves, I'm having a hard time getting to be less than 3,000 words an episode. And then there's a teaser of story stuff every episode that's going to be at least a couple minutes each. And I've written, like I said, about, what was the 20 or 30% of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And but I need to get more filmed. I've shot a lot of the prologue, but I need to get more filmed before I do too much else. And I need to get most of it done before the baby's born, and that's going to be
like 2 months
July.
Back.
And so and I haven't been able to work on it because I've been waiting on the suit, and I'm second guessing myself because I'm starting to wish that I had gone ahead and kept writing, even though I'm really leery of doing that. But it didn't seem like the thing to do, and I couldn't really shoot much else.
Well, like 2 months back, you were under the impression you were going to get the suit pretty soon.
Yeah.
And that's after all of this delays. And you shot a bunch of stuff. Like while I was at work, you're like, oh, and we started shooting today, and we shot this, and you shot quite a bit of stuff.
And I don't mind telling Patreon and Doomsvins has a cameo, and we got that shot.
And there's another one. I don't know if I can say that one.
We can tell Patreon. Yeah, Dan Torrey has a cameo.
Dan, we shot some stuff with Dan when
he was here with us.
Yeah. Which, Jesus Christ, was like, what, 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So anyway, I am terrified about this project because there's a part of me that, this sounds awful, there's a part of me that kind of wants to just scrap it now because it just doesn't sound like the most viable thing, and I'm gonna, it doesn't sound like the most viable thing to get done in the time I need to get it done in, and I'm kind of worried that I'm going to be asking too much from people who are involved, from you and from Sarah and from the kids, and I'm just like, it's all self-imposed, is it really fair to like do that to everybody and get back to this crunch time thing we were with his Spawn Year? But at the same time, he made me this epic costume, I can't not use it, and this is going to be a big lead up to another project down the road that I still very much would like to do, that I've had in the back of my mind for years, from the very, very beginning of Spawn Year.
Can you say second part of trilogy?
I think we can. Well, you just
I just said it. I was trying to figure out the best way to say
I don't
that.
know if we have officially on Patreon mentioned what that third part is, but I don't think we have, and I don't want to.
You know, I'm not mentioning that, but just this is supposed to be the second part of a trilogy.
Yeah. Which is obvious. Which is the obvious thing to do. I know everybody does trilogies, but the reason that happened was because the next thing I wanted to do was going to be so absurd and out there and supernatural, or in the supernatural realm, that I felt like we needed a midpoint, and it was actually Sarah's idea for it to be Batman. And that's going to wonderfully bridge the gap. We have to introduce some pseudoscience into this universe, because all we've had before is cloning and a thing that you put in your brain that makes you experience an alternate reality for a few hours that takes a lot longer in your head. But we're going to get into much bigger, more cosmic-y things. Not cosmic, but bigger things. Well, kind of cosmic.
Yeah.
I guess I can use that word, kind of cosmic.
Yeah, I mean, space is kind of involved.
Yeah, sure. So, anyway. But anyway, so I don't know. I don't know that I've even said much beyond just, oh my God, this is complicated. How am I going to get this done? But I'm kind of freaking out about it.
When I moved here, you were all ready to start on it. I was here when you shot the first prologue. I don't think you'll use any of that footage.
No, we didn't shoot a prologue. We had to reshoot Doomsvince's cameo. The only thing we shot was Doomsvince's cameo.
Yes.
The prologue stuff I shot beyond that was this year.
Okay.
Oh, this last year.
I was here when you shot the Doomsvince stuff.
Right. Right. But I started shooting stuff in the costume.
Right.
I mean, in the '60s Batman suit. More recently.
Yeah, and that's
But
the stuff
anyway,
you're.
so I guess all I'm saying is, I've got to do it. Like, it's got to get. And I don't mean to say that I really want to scrap it. I mean, I wrote a lot. I'm very happy with a lot of what we've written.
It's just that now you can finally start it, and it's kind of the worst time to start it because
I'm just scared.
There could be a delay at some point because you have a baby.
Yeah. And so I guess it's important to note, and I'm going to have to make an announcement, an official announcement on the channel, and hopefully I have my thoughts better together when I do that. It's late and I'm loopy right now, but I'm thinking that I'm going to need to suggest to people just be patient. It may not be a squarely every week thing. And the nice thing is, it's not like Spawn Year where it's, you know, it's supposed to take place every day and both narratively and in the real world. This is, it's hourly, and those were supposed to come out weekly, but it's not actually Batman Year, it's just, it was going to be posted over a year. I'm hoping to post it actually in less time than a year, but I don't know if that's realistic. It probably isn't, honestly. So I think it's just going to have to come out when it comes out. But I also don't know how I can work on much else while I'm making it, and I hate that because people are you know, gonna hate that I'm making Rewind even less frequently than I am. I feel like I'm in that James Rolfe situation where he couldn't make AVGN episodes when he was making that movie. I wasn't able to do very much Rewind at all when I made Spawn Year, and there's gonna be folks I know that are gonna be like, oh, we're gonna wait around again for what we really want for this thing we don't care about. More people will care about this because it's Batman, and because Nightfall is pretty beloved, so that's good. And I really think people who like the story stuff will really enjoy this. Yeah. But, and you know a lot of what we're doing. Like, I think people are going to dig on it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. But
anyway, I'm sorry. We talked about that a long time, but thanks for letting me do that.
Yeah. How much time do we have left?
Because over half an hour.
Oh, that's good.
I just...
Well, because mine went long too, so I wasn't sure to put together.
I just needed to get my thoughts out. About that, but that's where we're at with Batman Year, and I mean, I don't want to discourage people from being excited about it, because again, obviously, I'm kind of nervous about it. But it's just I want it to be good. I don't want to rush it if we're gonna do it, you know. But yeah, I really don't want to not do it, but I also don't want to stress everyone in my life out over it either. So, but
well, you don't want to stress yourself out, especially right before a baby.
But on the other hand, somehow we got through Spawn Year, and I made the documentary in the middle of that. I don't know how the hell I did that.
Yeah, that's a really weird choice.
I really don't know how that happened. Well, in my defense on that, the stars aligned, and it was the only time that trip could have been made. But I just don't know how we did it. Like,
yeah.
And I was as nerve-wracked then as I am right now, and that kind of fuels me creatively. So. You know, maybe the work will be better because of that. I don't know, but anyway. Well, what's your next thing?
I want to talk about something we were talking about in the bookstore the other day.
Yeah.
Which is, and this will, because remember earlier where I was like, did I put the Ridley Scott thing on here? I realized I did in fact put the Ridley Scott thing on here, but just didn't see. It's just a thing I'm going to bring up.
Yeah.
So we're talking about kind of the difficulty of getting the right people for licensed materials, and how.
Right.
You either, and then the extremes of the people that you get on licensed materials.
Are you talking about the whole like Ridley Scott wouldn't have been the person to make the sequel to Blade Runner?
No. Ridley Scott talked about Star Wars. Ridley Scott said he wouldn't do Star Wars, and they wouldn't want him to do Star Wars, but that they're idiots because what they're doing is they're hiring amateur talent who has never made a film like this, going, go make this movie. And then
to make some of the most expensive films and hardest to make things.
But they won't go to someone like him because they're an auteur and they'll want to do it their way, and they will not be micromanaged the way that these creators will be.
So they're looking for like prepackaged directors then.
Yes.
Like if they can build a robot to do it, that's how they do it.
That's exactly how Marvel works. I mean, for the most part, that is how Marvel works. You
not with the Russos though. I mean, you can tell they have so much.
Not with all of them, and like obviously Black Panther looks wonderful, but like. Doctor Strange could have been directed by anyone. Ant-Man could have been directed by anyone. Obviously not Guardians. Guardians, you know, like I'm not saying none of them have a stamp on it, but I do think those more generic Marvel movies, like, and they get these nobody directors. Yeah. Like the guy who made Doctor Strange made like 3 horror movies. That, like,
there are things about Winter Soldier that are almost art housey. Like,
yeah, no, absolutely, no, the Russos are wonderful. I'm not talking about them, but like, and this is the thing that Ridley Scott brought. Everyone's like, screw you, you ruined like 2 Alien movies, and I'm like, that's not. First of all, the direction was not the issue with those films.
I don't think so either.
They are beautiful films.
Yeah,
both of them are
is
two of
incredible.
the most beautiful films I've ever seen.
I
But
mean, I know a lot of people didn't like Covenant, and as convoluted as that whole thing is, and I agree, it is. I think it's also really interesting. I can't go as far as to say it's bad, but I want to watch that again just for the artistry of it. It's gorgeous.
yeah, and Prometheus is like that too. Prometheus is one of the most beautiful films.
And I thought Covenant was chilling. There were things that legitimately bothered me about that in the theater. The fact that you can still do that with that material is very impressive.
Yeah, I agree. But so, and this kind of ties into something that we were discussing on a much smaller scale, which is, I mean, anything licensed. We were talking about this with, you're like, well, everyone can't be Timothy Zahn, and the idea that when you have licensed material and you're trying to get writers to work on it, the extremes are like you have to find someone in the middle, because you either end up most of the time with a very amateur person that stays very much in the box and does nothing special. And how many like comic book tie-ins have we seen where it's like, why even bother reading this?
Yeah.
Like, it's not that it's bad. Like,
But it's uninspired.
Yeah, there's
it's
nothing
obvious.
And so many
been there
novels
and
are
done
like
that.
this. Tie-in
Yeah.
novels are like this. Whereas, and then the other
It's there because it's familiar. It's
Yeah.
safe, and you decide that that you'd rather people not even talk about it than hate it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then the other extreme is you get someone who is some kind of big name, and they come in, and they think they're above the material, and they either do something that's super contrary to the material, or it's too much. It's too much of them in it. Michael Moorcock is a real big name in science fiction fantasy, and he wrote a Doctor Who book, and Doctor Who fans hated it because he wrote a Michael Moorcock book, and he brought in his mythology and all of his stuff into the Doctor Who.
Well, and the reason
universe.
the Zahn thing probably works more is because he's starting from nothing. Besides the films you had already.
Yeah. No, that is probably
when you start from, you get to be the architect
of what
the new material of this universe.
Yep.
I don't know if somebody like Zahn can come in 10 years later. I mean, I guess with the EU, the way it got, we started appreciating a lot of different tones and viewpoints and perspectives in Star Wars. So yeah, maybe so, but
and I also think you get the like. New...
I also think Star Wars weirdly has gotten more in EU got more versatile than Doctor Who, which makes no sense.
No, I agree.
Like Doctor Who should be a more versatile thing, but it's that like quirky, quippy, like it's always got to be that. I think it's because it's so comedy driven. Mm-hmm. It's not entirely comedy driven, but you know what I mean.
Especially the modern stuff.
That it's got those comic sensibilities. Yeah.
But I also think the other thing that come in, this is what I kind of think happened with Last Jedi, at least me personally, what I feel kind of happened is you do get the people that come in that are not big names, because this is a thing that happens, I think, a lot with comics, where like we get big, like Warren Ellis does this. Like Warren Ellis comics, when he's working at Marvel, almost always are either really like kind of pretentious, where it's like, okay, well,
I'm too good for this material.
yeah, or it's I kind of don't care. Now there are a couple of gems. I love Next Wave. I love Thunderbolts. I've heard Moon Knight is really good. I'm not saying none of his work at Marvel is good, but there is quite a bit of it where it's like, yeah, I should have
Moon
for a
Knight didn't
paycheck.
even feel like not a Marvel book, which was
But
nice.
But I do think the other thing that happens is you get the upstarts that come in that are newer talent, and they're like, I'm going to show you something you've never even thought of. I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you, like, it's the guys that don't understand you're working in licensed material. That there is a way to do new, creative, good material within the box, and they want to get rid of the box. And I think this happens a lot. And I think this happens in comics a lot, where somebody comes in and is like, I'm not going to tell a normal story with this property like you would expect. I'm going to do something completely different, and then it's not even the thing it was.
And it ends up just looking amateurish and fanficky.
Yeah.
I know I throw that term around a lot, but I think it's apt here because fanficky, to me, is when you break all the rules for no reason and you're self-indulgent and you say, this is what I've always wanted to see, and it might not even be what you've always wanted to see for that property or that makes any sense with the internal logic of it. It's that it's really easy to say, well, you should always throw away the box. That's what creativity is. That's what risk-taking is. But the problem is, if you get too far away from the spirit of a thing, then it's not that thing anymore, and so who cares?
And I think
like,
that
just start over and make something that's not that anymore.
I think that happens with a lot of bad comic book runs.
Oh yeah,
where someone comes in and is like, well,
that's what I feel about Slot Spider-Man.
Yeah,
we're just so far outside of the parameters of what Spider-Man is that it stops being Spider-Man. And isn't it interesting? And I know that not everybody dislikes Dan Slott Spider-Man, so this is just me talking. This is how I feel about it. But from my perspective, I think it's really interesting that he kind of feels like he has to overcompensate and keep bashing us. I realize he's not going to be on it here pretty soon, but he has to keep.
He is finally leaving.
Bashing us on the head with, look at how much I know about Spider-Man, and also like, look how versatile Spider-Man is. Like that's Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse is him trying to prove, and I think failing miserably. I don't hate Spider-Verse, but I hate the concept of Spider-Verse. They're trying to prove and failing miserably that Spider-Man is Batman, and you can do it 100,000 different ways. And I think that's because he wants to break all the rules and throw the box away, like you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. And I really my just the topic for this is boy, it's difficult, I think, to find people that really understand what it is your job is when you're writing on a property.
And I think, in their defense, like, I sympathize too, though, right? Where it's like, well, but you want to be creative too,
but you don't want to go too far. You don't want to not go far enough.
Yeah, and
you don't want to be too safe.
And you touched upon something really interesting. I like that you went both extremes with it, where you talked about. This is a good speech. Where you talked about people who are who have a lot of experience and have been around the bend and do everything a certain way, and so maybe they're not always right for licensed property. But then you get people that are wet behind the ears and have a specific idea of what they think they want their art to be before they've had a chance to work within their own realm. You give them a realm. Maybe that's not a good idea. And so you need something kind of in the middle, which is why ultimately, while it worked for certain things and didn't work as great for other things, in my opinion, Whedon ultimately, looking back on it, ends up making a lot of sense for a lot of things.
Joss Whedon, the creator. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Because he really is that midpoint of that.
Yeah.
Because he's worked in so many franchises, and a lot of them have been his own, but then some of them have not been. And so when he ends up getting Avengers, and I'm kind of afraid it's just going to be Whedon doing Whedon, and a lot of people complain that's what it was. I don't think it was as bad about that.
No,
it might have been.
It was legitimately the Avengers through Whedon's lens, as opposed to Whedon making a movie called The Avengers.
There's also a guy who doesn't love the studio system, who's used to working within the studio system, and so that's good.
And that was really important that early on.
Yeah, but we keep bringing in people who want to say, fuck the system. But you're the system, and so you should be kind of leery of that. I know that sounds awful, but you've got to find people who are really creative and will play ball. But you also have to not hold their hands too much. And once you pay someone to do a job, you have to let them do it. And that job can't just be make what we tell you to make. It has to be, you can have parameters, but you have to say, we want you to be creative and tell a story. And some mandate, I think, is understandable. Some mandate is understandable.
No, I agree.
But if you're going to make it paint by numbers, then one of your studio execs should make the fucking film.
Yeah, or write the novel or the comic book or whatever.
Yeah.
And I do think that there is a level of...
If you think you know what's best already as a studio exec, why don't you learn how to make the damn thing? And I felt that way so much about managers I've worked for, like bigwigs at retail places or restaurants, where it's like, well, if you're gonna micromanage every single little thing I'm gonna do, why don't you come here and run the son of a bitch for me then?
I think there's a level of, I want to try and phrase this so it doesn't sound negative.
Yeah.
Like upper mediocrity or lower excellence.
Interesting.
Which is where I think we used to have a lot of writers that operate in that area, like Peter David, like I guess Dan Abnett kind of works in that area a little bit with how he works on properties.
What, serviceable with sparks of brilliance?
Yeah. We're like, they really do know what they're doing, and they are good writers, but they're also not lighting the world on fire with their work. They're just doing solid, really genuine good work, but it's not the most amazing thing you've ever read.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to do the most, they're just doing good, solid work. And I feel like we're losing that, and we're getting just kind of these extremes in a lot of properties and with a lot of stuff. And also, I think...
When we had that feeling for a lot of people for a while, where it was like, if you're not Christopher Nolan, don't bother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hey, Christopher Nolan was a perfect example of someone that was able to work within Batman and bring his own vision and make something genuinely excellent.
I just don't think you can expect everything to reinvent the wheel and to completely, like change everything.
And I also think that we've lost the ability to, like, look at telling something good. I've talked about this before, of just, like, everything doesn't have to be The Dark Knight. You could just take what it is and tell that really well.
Yeah.
You don't have to reinvent it from the ground up. I
think we need levels of that.
Yeah, yeah. But I thought it was interesting. I never really put in, until we were talking the other day at the bookstore. I never really thought about
everything is brilliant.
Yeah, nothing is brilliant. But I never really thought about the pitfall of writing in a. Specifically, I was thinking novel tie-ins, but like comics are also any work. Obviously, Last Jedi is this too, where it's like finding just the right kind of artist to work on the piece. I think is really difficult. And you can't know that about yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
You can't know that you're going to show up and turn in mediocre work, or that you're going to turn in self-indulgent work. I don't think. At least not to the extent that, like, I'm going to know as a consumer.
Unless you just have this, like, I don't give a crap attitude, and you know you're a hack. I think there are people who know they're hacks.
Well, and Warren Ellis has talked about that he is very open about the fact that all of his Marvel work is paychecks, but he tries to pick projects that he does think he'd be interested in and would enjoy working on. But that he is not passionate about the way that people that grew up with superhero comics is. But he's a realist, knowing I work in the comic book field, and if I'm going to get anyone to read my other work, I have to do this work too. He says every time I write something at Marvel, the sales for Transmetropolitan triple. You know, it's trying to enjoy doing what you have to do to sell what you really want. It's that,
yeah, and we've talked about this a lot. That's that delicate balance between art and business,
and there's nothing hacky about that, I don't think.
No, and a lot of the time, to make one thing happen, you have to have the other.
Yeah.
Unless you're just making art for the sake of art and you don't care whoever sees it.
Yeah. All right. So what is your?
I want to talk briefly about how I have completely changed the way I eat.
Okay.
I'd like to mention that because it's just this interesting thing that's going on in my life, and I'm not gonna bring it up probably for
only
a while.
Prunes. It's really weird. Prunes and prune juice.
Yeah, and I'm not doing the thing that what's his name that a Pingelette did, where he just ate potatoes for like a month.
Did he?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, the way he lost all that weight.
Is he just ate potatoes?
He just ate potatoes.
Wow,
yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, and then he completely changed his palate. Now, I also have somewhat reprogrammed my palate, but not by just eating potatoes.
Or prunes. I was joking.
So what I was going to say is, I don't want to say too much about this on the channel proper, because I'm terrified I'm going to backslide. And I don't want people to come back and be like, well, you said that you're eating this way and you're not going to do this anymore. And frankly, if I may, it's kind of nobody's business. But...
And everyone's human.
I want to, yeah.
Especially when it comes to eating, or it's something so habitual built from
and it's
when
funny,
you're a child.
sometimes I feel people like to try to, hold me to, like, the consistent standards that I try to hold a lot of fiction to. You know, it's just in my life, it's kind of funny. Where it's like
continuity error.
Yeah, Captain Logan, you have no internal logic. I cannot suspend my disbelief. So anyway, here's the deal. This is the thing I don't want to say on the channel proper, because what if I change? And I'm gonna try not to, certainly. But I don't want to like set up a thing, like a rule, like I will never do this again. You know what I mean? Like, and I want to be humble enough to say that it is possible that I will mess up, but I'm gonna try not to. For the last almost 5 weeks now, I have cut out soda entirely. No more Mountain Dew, which, if I may say, is also part of the reason I'm a little bit worried about making Batman Year.
Oh.
Because there's so much Mountain Dew in Batman Year, and it's gonna be hard to be around it and not drink it. Because I mean, I
got you. I'll drink. Don't you worry.
But I mean, I do right now have a little bit of a difficulty with people drinking it around me.
Oh, interesting.
I don't crave it until I see it, and I don't know if I want to be around it. So like I can like empty cans and stuff, but even just seeing the logo, I'm a little worried about it. So I don't know. I'm gonna do what I can with it. I may try to write it in a little bit somehow without being like dopey or preachy or like overbearing about it, but I might try to make some kind of a plot point about within the 48 hours not drinking it anymore, because at the beginning of it I'm drinking an insane amount just to stay awake, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking about doing some kind of like drive-in determination, I'm trying to be Batman thing of like I should be healthier, and the sugar's getting into my head, and so I stopped drinking. And I'm thinking I might do a plot point about it. But anyway, that's not here.
And that's not the kind, and that's not the kind of thing you would have worked in if you'd written it all ahead of time.
Exactly, that's true. But I also don't want it to look forced just because I'm losing weight.
Sure.
So but anyway, so the thing is, people have been, and this is not the reason I'm doing this, but I'm bringing it up because some of the folks watching on Patreon might be some of the people that have been kind of concerned when they could tell that over a short period of time I gained some weight, and some people messaged me and were just a little bit concerned about my health, that maybe I was getting too big too quickly and that I wasn't taking care of myself.
Can I ask a question? Because you've gotten a couple of comments about your weight.
Yeah.
Does it ever happen the other way? When you lose weight, does anyone ever like...
Yes.
Okay.
What, you mean, like, do they notice if I lose weight?
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Okay, so...
Because you only tell me about it if somebody's like... Or I guess I only notice it if somebody's like... has like a mean one?
Yeah.
But are there good comments like, oh my god, like you've lost a lot of weight?
Yeah,
okay.
But I will say that, like, the couple of times that I've dropped some pounds, it hasn't been as noticeable on camera. When Vince lost a lot of weight, everyone came out of the woodwork and talked about it. I got it opposite early on, where it was, thank God you gained some weight, you looked anorexic. I weighed 145 pounds when I got married. And for my body mass and my size, even at the age of 24, I was too small, and you can tell.
You're so strong in your wedding picture.
And if you go back,
weird.
If you go back and look at videos early on, like, I don't look healthy. I'm too small. So I needed to gain some pounds. But you know, like bulk up a little bit. You know, not just eat trashy. I'm 33 now. Obviously, my metabolism is not what it was, and so I think my ideal weight at this point is probably around 160, probably somewhere between 155, 160. I hesitate to go any less than 155. I have lost 13 pounds in less than a month. No, in about a month. Because I said I'm close to 5 weeks. So yeah, in about a month. I started at 184. I'm down to 171 right now.
That's great.
Which is exciting, and I'm eating a whole lot better. So this is not just about losing weight. It's not even majoritively about losing weight. I didn't feel as sharp as I used to, and I was the sugar was getting in my head. That was the big thing, and so for a while there I was doing okay, where I could like just drink a soda a day and be okay, but then I get too addicted to it too easily, and it turns into 3 or 4 real quick. And I was like, I'm gonna finally see if I can make myself drop it out entirely. And the diet, and when I say diet, I don't mean I'm dieting and I'm going to stop and go back to eating poorly after I've lost weight. When I say diet, I mean the way I've chosen to eat regularly, in my personal regular diet. I've changed around a lot because of a lot of research I did when I wrote my food novel, which I've still not published yet because I'm not finished with my rewrite, but with editing and stuff. But I've learned a whole lot about, and I'm not an expert or nothing, but I've learned a whole lot about nutrition and about how backwards we look at things in this country based on the way we're sold food versus what's actually good for you. I'm not drinking anything like as much milk as I used to. I've learned that is not as healthy for you as we thought it was. A little bit here and there is okay, but our adult bodies are not built to process it like babies' bodies are, because babies need it. We do not. It's not really exactly for us. It's okay to have it, but like, yeah, it's sort of good for bones, but it's not like, we don't process it real well.
Well, Lewis Black has that joke where he talks about he's like, here's how fucked the world is. Is milk good or bad?
Yeah.
And no one in the audience has an answer because public opinion goes back and forth so often on milk.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of what you hear people quote is advertising. It's really kind of scary, right? And I'm not like super anti like advertising. We're like, oh, we shouldn't ever be sold anything, but we need to.
We shouldn't be sold things as facts.
Well, but also we need to think about credible sources and what motivations are. Like as individuals, we need to be more street smart about it. So maybe we look at we look to doctors and nutritionists and people who yeah, I know they're self-serving in the sense that they're trying to make their own money, but it's not the same thing as we're being told that certain things are better for us than they are so that we'll buy the product, where if your main job is to help people eat better, that's different than your main job is to sell widgets. Just the thing you have right now. That's why we ended up with corn subsidies and stuff. I don't want to get too far into the politics of it, but I've looked into some of this and it's kind of freaky deaky, right? So anyway, I'm eating mostly a pretty Asian diet now. So whole lot of vegetables, very little meat. I am eating meat, but I try to make sure there's a lot of green at every meal, everything I eat. I'm done with fast food. I don't eat McDonald's anymore. I don't eat Taco Bell. I think I'm done with Chipotle, which just
I was going to ask about that.
Blows my mind, and I can't. Have I told you about this? Have I not told you about this?
No.
To the point where Sarah in my stocking every year gives me a $20 gift card to Chipotle, and I've not used it yet, and I'm probably not going to. And she has offered to replace it with a $20 Subway card and give the Chipotle card to the kids. That's where I'm at. Here's what happened. I went. I will not eat a 1,000 calorie burrito anymore. It's too much at one time. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that anymore. I am calorie counting. That's kind of like a scary mixed bag for a lot of people. But I will here very quickly in a second break down how I do that and how it's, I don't think, scary at all, and it's all about math. Like, a lot of people look at this like it's really ethereal, like, oh no, I don't understand my body, I don't understand how to lose weight, I don't understand how to eat well. There's too many like diets and too many people telling you how to do that, and I don't know what the best method is. It's as simple as burning more calories than you're taking in. That's it. It's that simple. And we have very matter-of-fact, easy scientific ways with our super futuristic technology we have now to make sure that we can do that. It's not that hard. And I've got better equipment now to help me do that, and so I'll talk about my Fitbit watch in a second. But anyway, so what happened with Chipotle was I went in and I said, okay, I'm gonna see if I can do it. I'm gonna see what I can do with Chipotle. So I walked in and I bought a bowl instead of a burrito, which I've never done before. And I put all the same stuff I usually put in a burrito in a bowl. Immediately cuts the calories out by like 300. It gets down to about an 800 calorie bowl.
Soft taco, that you can get them on the side?
No, I just got a bowl.
Oh, okay, because my boss gets a bowl and then 3 soft tacos and makes 3 smaller burritos.
Okay, but you could just get soft tacos and put the same stuff on it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like, that's not a bowl. I don't know why you do that. But anyway, okay. So I got a, but I didn't want the tortillas because that's extra calories. You see.
I see.
So you go in and you get anyway, I went in. Let me change my pronouns. I went in and I got a bowl, and immediately it's a little bit fewer calories. So it's somewhere between 700 and 800. Eat half of it. That's a pretty standard evening meal for me. Somewhere between 450 and 500 calories. It didn't taste good, and it was too heavy, and I needed a nap afterwards, even after only having half of it. I had 400 calories of this bowl, and I didn't like it.
Wow.
It's something about the combination of just the heaviness of the barbacoa and the sauce and stuff. And yeah, I could get some of that not on it. I could try the chicken. I could try different things. I go to Chipotle for exactly one combination of things. It's my favorite place because of precisely what I put in that burrito. If I can't have precisely that, I do not care. So I think I'm done with it.
Wow.
And that's insane. They have this really, and like I sound like those people that used to be on. They just like promote Subway up the wazoo, but they've got this chicken teriyaki sandwich at Subway that's delicious that I really like, that I've started getting, and I'm kind of, it's weird because like I'm kind of enjoying eating real food now. I'm doing a lot of stir fry. It's just like fruits and vegetables taste good to me in a way they didn't used to, and I just don't want to eat like that anymore. And I'm like I still have sweets and stuff, just just in very, very little portions. I'll have a cookie, you know. I'll have a chocolate covered cherry. You know, got things after Christmas. It's all about just keeping that calorie count right. So your average person needs 2,000 calories a day, and if you want to maintain your weight, you take in 2,000 calories, you burn 2,000, or you burn a little bit more than 2,000, right? If you want to lose weight, you either eat 2,000 and exercise and burn a lot more, or you have your regular amount that you burn during the day and you eat less than that, but don't starve yourself, you know what I mean? So right now I'm eating between 12 and 15 until I get to my ideal weight, and then in order to maintain it, I'll go somewhere between. But like, I think I'm so small, I don't actually need 2,000 calories. I think I get kind of stuffed and bloated, and I just don't need that much food. So I'll probably be somewhere more between like 15 to 17, depending on how much I'm exercising. If I'm exercising a lot, then I'm going to want to eat more, obviously. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. I have the Fitbit Blaze. I bought this one for a couple of reasons. I got really lucky. I don't know if you know about this, but my wife had this extra bonus at work to buy a Fitbit specifically.
Oh, you did tell me about that.
Yeah, it was really cool. Where her boss gave everybody a like $300 bonus specifically to buy a Fitbit. She already has one, so I went ahead and ordered one for me. And they have this cool like exercise program where they get points that go towards stuff, and they put spouses on that program now. So I ended up getting the Fitbit. I got the Blaze instead of the regular one that she has, partly because it was only like $30 or $40 more, and it does a lot more, and it doesn't look like a Fitbit. It looks like a smartwatch.
No, it looks really cool.
And it does a lot of stuff that smartwatches do, but I've had nobody look at this and know it's a Fitbit, and I feel like the Fitbit thing has gotten a little bit too like faddish and crazy-ish, and it bugs me because I see all these people wearing them, and it's obvious that a lot of people aren't really using them, they're just wearing them, and I feel like they've made a lot of money that way, with people just thinking, you know what, maybe at some point I'll actually, you know, try to live more healthy. And so anyway, but this thing gives me like notifications from Facebook and from Messenger and from YouTube and all that stuff, which is really useful when I don't have my phone real close. And I'm able to like adjust volume on Spotify with it, and there's a lot of fun things I can do with it. And it of course keeps track of everything that Fitbit usually does. So you know, step counting and your your heart rate and all that stuff, but also specifically how many calories you're burning. And then in the app, I just put in food that I'm eating, and then I can tell how many calories I've taken in versus how many I'm burning. And it has a really good database where you can just look up stuff and you can find any food that you need in the specific brand. And so yeah, you have to keep track of everything you're eating, but you get used to it. You know, it's just kind of a habit that you build, and then it also keeps track of sleep. And I realized that I wasn't getting as much sleep as I thought I was, because if you just count it from, I don't know if we've talked about this, if you just count your sleep from the moment your head hits the pillow to when you wake up, you actually aren't getting as much, at least deep and meaningful sleep as you thought you did. Even if you go to sleep right away, it still ends up not counting. So it'll tell you how much you actually slept, and it knows that based on like heart rate and stuff. And so I thought I was getting a full 8 hours. It was closer to 7 or like 6, and a little more than 6.5. So I've started, and it's funny because it's like you can tell a lot of the time when you need sleep, especially if you're eating really, really healthy, because if you're not doing that, it's hard to tell, well, am I just eating crappy, and so that's why I feel like this, or did I not sleep well enough like that last night, is that why I feel like this? If you're eating well, then you got that cut out. So if you get to the afternoon and you're feeling kind of sluggish, maybe you didn't get as much sleep as you thought you did last night, but if you go, well, I know I got 8 hours, and you just keep plowing through the day, you're not going to be as productive, and you're not going to feel good. So if you have the luxury to, or like when you get home from work, if you didn't get enough sleep last night, take a nap for an hour. And I have been doing that when I need to, and I just feel better. I just feel a lot more alert, and I'm able to track specifically, actually, exactly how much I'm sleeping. And so I don't know. It's just I feel much better. I'm in a way better place. with everything. And so that, anyway, that's what I'm doing. So that's another thing I've been like spending a lot of time working on. And the next step is going to be to more vigorously get back into exercising, which I've been doing some of, but
we've been talking about going back to the gym.
Yeah, we've been on vacation and stuff, but I have been doing insane amounts of walking. Has been kind of my start of all of that, and that's part of obviously why I've been able to lose as much weight as I have. But
nice.
I said brief, that went longer than I meant it to. But I realized there were things I hadn't even told you about. So
yeah.
I've been real on about that. So anyway, yeah. We can go a little later tonight. What else do you want to talk about?
I want to talk
Mr.
about what I don't think is the craziest thing in the world, but everyone else seems to.
Oh, right.
Choosing not to see or read something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first I want to talk about the bullshit double standard, that if you don't like something, what is the first thing people that like it say? Well, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. Just don't read it. I can't do that before I've done it.
Yeah, that's true.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
that only makes sense in an ongoing narrative.
TV is a thing. Yeah.
TV is a thing, and that's fine. You can't tell me that about a movie or a book or a trade.
Real quick, can I say though, not to get you off on your tangent into a different tangent.
Yeah.
But it was complicated with the old Primetime Crisis when we were dealing with the CW shows that I kept expecting to get better.
Sure.
I don't anymore because they've been consistently, in my opinion, in kind of a slump for a long time. But I was waiting for Arrow to find itself again, and in my opinion, it never did.
Anyway. So I've decided, and this is not a hard and fast proclamation, I'm probably not going to see the next Star Wars movie. Based on the picture, I'm probably not going to see Han Solo either. Unless that trailer blows me away, I'm probably not going to see Han Solo. But I don't want to make like a proclamation, because I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 years. Maybe I'll be like, yeah, I really do want to see a Star Wars on the big screen. You're like, I'm not going to say I'm not going to see it. I don't intend to see that film. And I've talked to a couple of people, and everyone
At the moment, you're just kind of done with the franchises as
I am done with the new franchise. I've been reinvigorated to go back to the expanded universe.
Me too.
I've talked to a couple people about this, and they all act like I'm being crazy and absurd. Like, you're gonna see the next Star Wars. Or same thing with Flashpoint. Like, I'm not gonna see Flashpoint. I will not see Flashpoint with that Flash. I will not do it. And people are like, if that happens, you're gonna see it. It's a comic book movie.
I don't think that movie's gonna get made.
God, I hope not. I hope he never gets to play the Flash again. But people act like it is insane and absurd to not go see one of these films.
They have a new kind of showrunner now.
Yes, they do.
And so I mean,
which is really unfair.
I think everything could change.
And it's really unfair to Jeff Johns.
I agree, but I also think that means everything could change.
That's true. That's true. But I've seen this in a couple of people where like I've said something where I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna see that. And there's a couple of things. First of all, we have gotten to a point now with geek media. I will not watch all of it. I don't read all of the comic books. I can't possibly watch all of the shows. Legion sounds amazing. People love Legion. It is in the same place as Alan Moore's Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
At some point, I will get to it. I'm sure it's great. That doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't specifically interest. Someone recommended.
It's not even a matter always of interest. It's about priorities, right? When there's so many different, it's like I kind of gotta pick and choose.
Someone recommended if we really like the Batman Telltale, we should try the Walking Dead Telltale, and I was like, look, I'm not gonna play that. I'm sure it's wonderful. Everyone says it's great. I'm not passing judgment. I just don't care. Like, I'm not saying that there was no world where I would ever play it. I'm just saying.
And is this part of where you're going with this? Is it not okay to have your own personal sensibilities anymore? Are we in this place where if it's good, if it's heralded as this great thing, everyone is expected to consume it because it's supposed to be like a cultural touchstone? I don't know that that's fair.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, like...
I get that Star Wars is kind of universal, but that doesn't mean
But if I hated this movie, and I didn't like the one before that, why would I go see this next one?
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's not like you're saying, okay, it ruined my childhood, or I'm done with Star Wars.
No, and I'm not saying everyone else has to be done with it either.
Yeah.
Just for me personally, I think I'm done with this continuity.
Yeah.
And And here's the seedy dark side to all
I
of this.
want to be done with Discovery. That is a train wreck I have not been able to stop looking at. But I have the same thing with that, where it's like, where people are like, well, Cap, it's Star Trek, or you have to keep consuming it. Just because it has the branding doesn't make it authentic, right?
Yep. Just because it says Star
Can't
Wars
we
doesn't
not
mean
know
it's
what
actually
we're
Star
doing
Wars.
with it? Yeah.
Okay, so
That's different than, I have to say this because I've been reading material about this where it's interesting because I wanted to bring something like this up too.
Cool.
It's interesting that you brought this up because I've been reading the people saying silly things like, well, if I don't like it, it's not canon. When people complaining on the other side that, like, anytime someone says something like what you just said, it's like you're deciding what is canon or not. These are different things. I'm no longer interested is not the same thing as my admitting, as much as I would love it to not be true, that yes, if they say Discovery is canon, it is canon. It just doesn't make sense that it is. I don't see how, but if it's on screen and Paramount was behind, or CBS was behind it, yes, it is technically, officially canon. That doesn't mean that I have to accept it as a thing that I want to consume or look at, and same thing with Star Wars.
Well, in the Star Wars instance, I'm just accepting alternate canon, warts and all. Like, I will just accept Legends as, and that was my canon for my entire life.
Well, sure, but again, as what you care about.
Yeah, for me, I'm not saying that that's
you get what's official.
Yes, I understand that this is the real Star Wars for everything being made. Okay, but here's the sinister side to all of this. Here's the dark side to all of this. What people are saying is, it's insane that you are not going to consume a product made by a company. It's insane that you're not going to spend money on this thing that we designed.
Yeah.
That's absurd! Like, that's the height of brainwashing. And we're a part of this. We're all a part of this. Like, that's insane, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and I hate myself when I give money to a thing that I'm pretty sure is going to be awful, but it has that brand on it, and I don't know how to not give it money. So I'm on. I don't want to say I'm on both sides of this, but like I sympathize.
I'm certainly on both sides of this emotionally.
I sympathize with both sides of this, where you've been taken in by that, but you also can see why it's really scary to be like, well, no, you have to. It's like, but
it's insane that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. In my entire life, this is going to sound bad, but it's not. My entire life, I think
a lot of these same people would on other things say vote with your dollar.
Yeah,
that's what's weird about it.
I agree completely. My entire life, I have been a quitter. When I stop liking something, I don't have a problem quitting. I stopped Heroes halfway through Season 3. I stopped Arrow halfway through Season 3. I didn't like the Dynamite Shadow comics that much, so I stopped buying all of them and just bought the ones that looked interesting to me and the ones I knew I would like.
It's the difference between, like, being a fan of a thing and being a supporter of it, where it's like...
And people think you have to support the things you like. You must go to the Batman movie.
What if I don't like it
you like
more,
Batman,
though, is the thing. Yeah.
What? I'm not going to spend money on Spider-Man comics. I don't like them.
Yeah.
They're not my Spider-Man. If people like them, that's great. It's really sad that people like them because it's not the character that I think he is. If
someone like Dan Torrey tells you it's back to something closer to your sensibilities,
maybe I'll check it out.
Try.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're also not going to do the opposite, I think, kind of like awful thing of saying it's been bad, so I'm gonna boycott it no matter what it is.
No, if people tell me it's good, I'm not saying I won't try it. But if people come out of the new Star Wars, people that I trust, people that are with me on this movie and say, no, it fixes everything. It's Episode 9 is the movie that we should have gotten in the first 2 times. Maybe I'll try it. I'm not saying that I will never see it.
Why is it controversial to some people to be a critical thinker, to think critically about the things that you like?
Well, and why is it controversial just to be like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to see the next one?
It's like you must consume it completely blindly because at one point it spoke to you.
Well, and I feel like people think or act like, even subconsciously, not even realizing it as they're saying it, that like, but we're all drones. we're all robots here. You have to go see the Star Wars movie. We all have to go see that. What do you mean you're not? That's ridiculous. Of course you're gonna go. You love Star Wars. We all love Star Wars.
No, I get it if they're saying, of course you're gonna go, you'll probably review it. If it was your job.
That's like, different, but none of the people I'm talking to are people that know that.
Yeah, because I feel like I end up being in sort of a different place where I don't think it would necessarily be fair to be like, well, Cap, you have this double standard where you tell people, like, don't see things if you don't want to, that's okay, but then you go see a thing and then you just come back and bitch about it. But it's like, but I mean, people are curious to know what I think about it. That's what I do. It's a little bit different when it's your job, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That is a different thing.
I do pick and choose to some degree just because I have to prioritize what I can, spend my time on, but I don't do it as much with movies as I do TV. It's just like, again, with some of the superhero shows, there was so much of it. It was so demanding.
Movies are 2 hours at a clip.
Yeah.
Even if it's one a week. Like, we're not to a point where, like, multiple superhero movies are coming out in a week and you have to pick and choose which ones you're going to go see.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the 6 to 8 to 10 that come out a year.
Even if you don't like a lot of them, like, you can still go see them.
Yeah. And then you get the occasional gem where it was like, I expected to hate Wonder Woman and I liked that movie. So
yeah. Yeah, you don't want to prejudge everything, but
yeah.
I want us to stop acting like it's insane to say you're not going to consume corporate property.
Yeah.
Because let's not lie, right? Like, I'm not saying there's no artistry in any of this, because obviously there is. These are corporate properties,
of course,
that we are choosing to consume or not consume. It's not high art. Like,
yeah, it's not obligatory. And the thing is, if it becomes obligatory, then they don't have to try. They can make anything. It can just be Mr. Potato Head wearing a Batman cape and everybody goes and sees it because it's obligatory. Why is... I hope we're not beating a dead horse, but why does it become more legitimate because it has an R with a circle around it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I personally feel like a lot of copyrights and all of that should go up, and Batman should be in the public domain. There was no question in my mind that Batman should be in the public domain. A lot of these characters we have, and Disney in particular, I don't know if you know that, Disney continues to push the copyright.
I know that. I mean, and with something like Batman, it gets complicated because it's like, well, should like the entire canon be in the public domain just because it's part of Batman? You get a lot of things that get made later. Like there's
it's Hush now in the public domain, even though it came out 20 years ago. That's true.
That's a whole other conversation.
And there's weird stuff like John Carter. I think the first 3 books in the public domain, but the character isn't, and so Dynamite ran into trouble because they were only using things from those first 3 books, and then the Edgar Rice Burroughs Foundation showed up and was like, hey, we own John Carter of Mars. And they're like, yeah, but technically you don't own these 3 books. They've fallen in the public domain. But
yeah,
there's a lot of these that I think should be in the public domain, and we get good Sherlock Holmes things.
Yeah.
We get a lot of crappy Sherlock Holmes things, and every fucking cartoon has to do an episode where their character meets Sherlock Holmes, especially Batman.
Sherlock Holmes is just Santa Claus.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But there's a lot of really good Sherlock Holmes stuff, too. Like, I think Batman would be like that. I think a lot of these things would be like that. I think James Bond
Well, and it's complicated because I understand why we need to have intellectual property rights, and I don't want...
For the creator.
And I don't want people... Yeah, I don't want people who make up something to, not get their due and to have their stuff ripped out beneath them, and you wouldn't want that to happen to you. But at the same time, that can be at odds sometimes with how the evolution of art works.
Well, and it's the...
And if we're not allowed to build on anything, what do we have?
It's the, what's the modern art guy in the 60s who did all the paintings of just like a Coke can.
Yeah.
Because these are part of your world, and it's ridiculous that you wouldn't be able to have Coke in your movie because everyone knows what Coke is. It's part of all of our lives. It's embedded.
Yeah, and like I can't help but agree with that to at least some degree.
Yeah. There's no hard and fast rules with this, but
yeah, he paints a Campbell soup can because he's like, well, you have that in your everyday life. Like if it's part of. And I know there are some countries that have even, like, way crazier and harder rules about it than we do, where you can't even, like, mention a copyrighted thing in fiction. Like, imagine if you can't say Batman in something. Like, imagine if we could copyright titles, Like, that's... Like that's crazy. You have these corporate properties are like all around us all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
They're such a part of our regular everyday life.
It's a real complicated question. I actually have intended to bring that up at some point, but have not gotten to. We should do a whole topic on that at some point.
There's a GNN there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, and it's funny because we get that comment from people sometimes with the excerpts where it's like, well, this would have made a great GNN. I wish you just did it that way. And it's like, well, we gave you 15 minutes of it. It basically is a GNN. We posted it publicly on the channel. I don't know. Do you just want me to put the different header and footer on it? I'm confused. If it doesn't open with ba-da-da-da-da, it does not count. Let's do a couple more short ones real quick.
Sure.
If you want to.
Sure.
Because I just feel like we spent too long on a couple of things. Let me mention a couple of really small things real fast.
Okay.
This will be the end of my stuff. This
mice, ants, and I'm trying to think of a third small crackers.
Crackers. I'd like to talk about small items, like fidget spinners and thumbs. But no, I found out today that so somebody left a comment on a video where Jason and I did a commentary on the first Gold Ranger episode from Zeo.
Oh yeah,
and I said in that commentary, oh man, I wish they would make a Legacy Gold Ranger step, but we'll never get it. I didn't even think to look it up. It had already been announced and was shown off at, I think, San Diego Comic-Con or one of the Comic-Cons, and I forget where, and is coming out this year. And somebody left a comment and said, "Hey Cap, they're making that. You should go look. It's going to be $150 when it comes out." I don't know if those things don't usually go down in value, so. But they don't usually go up real hard, at least in the first couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
I have to have that. Like I'm gonna save up. I have to have that. So I'm very excited that that's coming out. And I guess they're doing more first from that show. They're doing a bunch of Zeo stuff. It's really exciting. Cool. And the other thing is just a quick, tiny, small question topic, which is, do you have anything like this, like I do, where you feel like you're kind of a fan of something, but you know nothing about it? So, I'm not a dinosaur guy, but I love dinosaurs.
Okay.
And I'm like, should I, like, learn a lot? Well, I'm not real into, like, paleontology and that kind of stuff. But I get excited about dinosaurs. But I don't know jack for shit about dinosaurs. So, like, what is that? Is that weird? Is it just the
I feel like dinosaurs is a weird thing. Like, it's not like, yeah, I don't know what it is, I just love Harry Potter. I've never read the books, never seen the movies, I just love Harry Potter. Whenever I see Harry Potter stuff, I go crazy. I just love Harry Potter. Like, it's not like that, right? Like, I don't know, there's something different when it's science and, like,
it's just an
real,
aesthetic
like...
where, yeah, the thing is, it's not like I'm fascinated by prehistory.
Mm-hmm.
I look at dinosaurs almost like a fantasy creature.
Yeah, they're just cool. It'd be like saying you love dragons.
Yeah, or like maybe you have like a favorite car, but you don't know anything about cars. Like, I love Velociraptors, which should be the name of a make of a car, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
You know, the Ford Velociraptor or the, you know, who would make more sense to put out a Velociraptor?
She's a clever girl.
Trademark.
Just get that guy back for your commercial. He's not doing anything.
Do you have anything like that?
I'm sure I do.
Chevy Velociraptor.
I'm trying to think. Like, I'm sure I have things where I feel like I was just talking to someone about this the other day where I'm like, I'm kind of a fake fan of this because, like, I don't know anything, but, like, I really like this. There's a lot of stuff that I think I like that I don't feel like I know enough to really say I'm a fan. Like, I don't know if I could say I'm a fan of Westerns, given the limited number of Westerns, but I love Westerns.
But you can be a fan of the ones that... I guess you can, like, love the aesthetic.
Yeah, like,
we've talked about this
I really like the
times
atmosphere of Westerns and the...
It just becomes semantical where it's like, should I use the word fan, or is like... Does like suffice?
Yeah. I don't know, I think there's things like that.
But I'm kind of fanatical about velociraptors.
That's true.
Even though I don't really know anything about them.
And you're not even fanatical about real velociraptors. It's the fake ones from Jurassic Park.
It's just the fake ones from Jurassic Park. Although, it turns out that, because I went to a dinosaur exhibit with Jason on Sunday, and that was the whole thing. Was like, I found out this thing was in town, and I had this irrational thing where I was like, I have to go to this. And we went, and like, we paid money to go to this thing that I had no idea was in town. I was just like, Sarah, I'm going to this thing. I'm sorry, we're going. And
I put my foot down.
No, it wasn't like she wasn't cool with it, but it looked like a really fun thing for Jason, and it was cooler for Jason than it was for me.
He got to ride one, and that was really cool. I saw the picture.
It was awesome, yeah. It was just a whole bunch of animatronic velociraptors. It's basically like if you had a zoo for animals that don't exist anymore.
That sounds cool!
Kind of. I mean, it sounds cooler than it really is, because they're animatronic, but they don't do a lot. You know what I mean? Like they just kind of move the way they move.
Well, what really impressed me just with that picture of Jason on it is because I've been to obviously the Jurassic Park part of the islands of adventure at Universal Studios. You don't get to touch them. Like, there are some animatronic dinosaurs you get to see, but like you don't get to interact with them. Yeah. I thought that was really cool.
And the majority of them you didn't, but they had some ride-on ones.
That's cool. That's really well, because he was really high up. Like, I think there's like a Stegosaurus like you can like get on, but like it's not like
you had to climb this really tall ladder to get up to it.
Like, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, but anyways, so but there are
we live together.
there are things that are like that are different kinds of raptors that look more like Jurassic Park raptors, because they don't have feathers.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual Velociraptor has feathers, but the Utah Raptor doesn't.
Oh, so you're a Utah Raptor fan?
Apparently.
Is there a size difference?
But the Utah Raptor is much bigger, as far as I can
tell.
So
it's the Jurassic Park.
And one of the reasons it was really...
Because Velociraptor is supposed to be smaller, as far as I understand.
One of the reasons it was worth... So, I guess I'm a fan of baby Utah Raptors, but... one of the reasons I thought it was
sound as good, the baby Utah Raptor room.
I thought it was, with hyphens. I thought it was worth going to this, partly because you got to see the scale of them, because everything was built to scale.
Oh, that's really cool.
They weren't like smaller versions, and they boasted this really hard in their advertising, where it was like, there are other things that have done this that make like half scale ones. We go all the way. Like if like our T-Rex is the size of a T-Rex, and they have a bigger one that is kind of whatever that dinosaur is that is bigger than a T-Rex, and it's that big, and holy crap, it's huge, and so that was a lot of fun. But one of the things I didn't realize was how many of the dinosaurs, the really popular ones that we think of as kind of more exotic, are indigenous just to North America. Like, you don't think of exotic things when you think of America because we're from here and it doesn't seem exotic, but you go back to prehistory and all the cool ones that you're familiar with, or at least a lot of them, are just North America. And the T-Rex is just North America, which is a thing I didn't know. But I don't know, like, it was fun, and I learned a little bit.
That's cool.
It wasn't, like, the most educational thing. Like, if you just hung out around, like, the exhibits and you took the tours and stuff, which we did a little bit of, it is very informative, but then half of it is rides and stuff, and they are... I didn't plan on talking about this much, but I gotta mention this because it's funny. Immediately, because this thing is called Jurassic Quest, and immediately I was like, well, I know why they did that. Name recognition. They put Jurassic in it because that's not copyrighted, but everybody knows what Jurassic Park is.
Jurassic era?
No, they're not, but neither are the ones in Jurassic Park.
I know, that's why I was asking if they were...
No, they're not, but they, and it's funny because the exhibits, they'll have dinosaurs from totally different eras mixed together in one exhibit, and, like, they know it, and they tell you that, but it's just kind of funny seeing them next to each other. But anyway, but I was like, I know that they're going to exploit Jurassic Park as much as humanly possible. And I like that might sound cynical, but I was like, just looking at the name, it's obvious what they're doing. Like they're going, everyone loves Jurassic Park. People like Jurassic Park almost more than they like actual real dinosaurs. And Jurassic Park obviously did a lot, like to make people like care about dinosaurs again. When you get there, and I'll show you a picture of it.
Does it play the music?
No, it's not that. No. Well, that's the thing is they can't use it.
I know.
When you get there,
this is what happens when you go to Universal Studios.
The thing, because listen to me. When you get there, there's a big gateway.
There's also one of those at Universal Studios.
Like the Jurassic Park gateway that you walk through to get in.
Does it have torches?
Yes. Because of course it does. And one of the rides that Jason went on is just Jeeps.
It's Jeeps?
It's just Jeeps. So, it's just, they bought several RC Jeeps. You know what, you can buy, like, those $400 RC Jeeps that you, like, play with in your yard, right?
Yeah.
They just bought those and they have kids get in them and drive them around in a circle. That's what they are. What does that have to do with dinosaurs? Nothing, except if you like Jurassic Park, you're used to seeing Jeeps around dinosaurs. That's the only reason you have the Jeeps. It's great. What is the last thing you'd like to bring up?
We can try and make this brief.
Okay. It's cool. I mean, we're already beyond brief.
Sure.
We are 23 minutes over. You're welcome.
In the modern world with the internet, with
Yeah.
as absolute and extremist as everything is right now, is it possible for reappraisal of film?
Well, how do you make this short, dude?
I don't know. It's what I
What are
have.
you thinking, man? I was like, Velociraptor. Am I a Velociraptor fan? I don't know.
Okay.
You're like, let's get really fucking heavy. No, that's okay.
I
That's
can
okay.
put a pin there. Okay.
No, you already brought it up. So now we have to do it. People are going to be like, that would have made a great GNN. You guys will probably spend 3 minutes on it, because that's ever happened, ever.
So this is something I've been thinking about.
I'm sorry, what was the topic again?
Is it possible...
What are we talking about?
Is it possible for reappraisal of film in the modern era?
What do you mean? Of old films?
No, I mean of more recent films as they become older. So there are very few films I can think of historically that were like heralded when they came out, that like later we've been like, actually that was kind of shit. Like maybe The Godfather wasn't that good. That doesn't happen. But with the
so are you saying, are we looking too much at the Rotten Tomato percentage from the people that saw it when it first came out? And then we, like, hold it to that forever?
Yeah, is it possible for something like The Thing, where The Thing was panned? If Rotten Tomatoes existed when The Thing came out, it would probably have like a 20%. And it is now considered one of the greatest horror films of all time.
Right.
The 70s and 80s are littered with films that were mediocrely...
We're talking about this about It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes. The 70s and 80s are littered with films that are mediocre to poorly received that have since become cult classics. Is there a place in the world now for it? Is there any chance in 20 years Valerian is a film that a sect of people... Can the cult film still exist?
I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I worry that people are just too worried or too concerned about what other people think of them. Where it's like, people are so worried about consensus.
And it's so absolute. Like, this film is bad, and it's always going to be bad, and I'm never going to... We also don't allow for second impressions.
Yeah, and I think the second impression is so important.
Yeah, I agree completely. A film can be really, you can be really invested in a film the first time, and the second time, once you know everything, it's boring.
And I also don't think we allot enough for taste. I don't think we allot enough for not every movie's for everybody, and we treat it too much like a math problem. I mean, I've said that before, but where you know something comes out and there's a consensus, and people decide there's a right answer, and yeah, there's polarizing movies. At the same time, I think we have reassessed certain movies in the Rotten Tomatoes era, right? The big one, obviously, that we talk about a lot is you predicted that that Rises would not go down in history as a great Batman movie, and since it came out, that seems to kind of be the case. Right, like there are still a lot of people that really like that movie, but more and more they feel like more and more they feel like they have to defend themselves because they know that the popular opinion seems to be more going toward their. So I'm just saying that there is, and not against anybody that likes whatever they like. I'm just saying that that's what I've been seeing with the climate with that, where it's like that has changed a little bit, and a lot of that is because you just get like vocal minorities that like scream at people that don't like a thing that they like, and we're seeing that with Star Wars. That's not a minority, but we're seeing that with Star Wars where you do have some people that just cannot deal with on either direction. If
people
somebody
like people dislike
really liked the thing you hated, or somebody really loathed the thing that you liked, with Star Wars, you've got a lot of vicious people on both sides of the aisle on that.
Absolutely.
And I can't condone that on either side, even though I am on a side. I don't like that movie. But I don't want people.
But we
shouldn't be picking on people who did. That's not fair.
No, and it's such not a movie where like it's not like Transformers. Like Last Jedi is not like Transformers. Where, like I walk out of the movie, I'm like, that's vapid and one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and people that like it are dumb. Like it's not like that.
I wasn't offended in the same way.
Yeah, it's not a, like...
So if I was offended by Last Jedi, it was in all the things I felt like I was promised that it didn't give me.
Someone telling...
That's all that
Someone
is.
telling me they like it doesn't immediately make me go...
Transformers made me feel like a cynical person.
Yeah.
Star Wars didn't exactly do that.
No, and I'm also fascinated by the fact that I cannot call who will and will not like Last Jedi. It's fascinating.
All over the map. Yeah. People had very different experiences with that movie, and when I first saw it, I was like, I can't... I had a hard time imagining people loving that movie, and now I'm trying to figure out why people had different experiences with it, and so like I just like I don't understand because I had a very
and twice, because you did see it a second time. We both did.
Yeah, but I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I had a I had a real definite experience with that, you know what I mean? And then I've talked to other people that just like really had a good time with it. And I guess they just had different expectations than I did, and they cared about different things than I did. And so that's whatever. But yeah, but back to your question, like, because it's already happening with some things, it makes me at least hope that we can still reappraise
But that stuff that's a little bit more, like, let's say controversial. Like, Dark Knight Rises didn't come out, was the most critically lauded thing. I mean, it was critically, but, like, as far as, like, real people are concerned, it was a real mixed film.
But it was super polarizing in the same way Man of Steel was, and Man of Steel has started more and more to go in the direction of, yeah, it's not great for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And a lot of us that really like that movie, right, it was straight away, Star Trek Into Darkness. A lot of us that loved that movie when we first saw it and were, on my end, really trepidatious about it, where I was like, I don't know if I'm just blinded by Star Trek or what exactly is going on. And then the more I thought about it, the more I didn't like that movie. So I mean, like, I feel like we're reappraising things to some degree.
But we do it well, and that's weird because that's the opposite of.
But only if we're going back to them. Only if we're looking at them again.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because that's the opposite of.
Or at least if we continue really actually thinking about what's in them, as opposed to just going, I put this check mark on the piece of paper, and I must always go by that check mark.
Yeah. Well, and that's the opposite of kind of what I was saying. Whereas is I guess in recent times we have gone back to films that we more critically lauded and brought them down some pegs.
Yeah.
But the ones that are really bad, is there a place for a cult following for, not really bad, but received really poorly? Is there a place for a cult following for things like Valerian, or I'm trying to think of other, because that's just the one that, for me personally, like, I really like that movie. It came out this year, and a lot of people didn't like it. I'm trying to think of other movies.
Maybe not publicly as much, but I think you'll always have closets. You're always going to have closets. You're always going to have little groups of people who go into a tent and love the thing they love and don't let anybody else into the tent, right? Like you're I think and then they're going to be like closeted fans of a thing that is not
right. But is it possible that it becomes more the common perception, like we have with a lot of '80s movies that were really poorly received at the time and are now genuine classics, if not well-known cult classics? Like, does Rocky Horror Picture Show happen? I guess, you know, maybe The Room, but, like, those are very different. Like, people always say it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show. No one's making fun of Rocky Horror Picture Show. People genuinely like Rocky Horror Picture. It's not like The Room.
But I don't know if The Room could happen now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was and like I've heard a lot of people talk about this now that I've looked into that, where that happens at a real specific time in history, where there was just enough technology as far as, like, you know, internet culture and stuff, but it hadn't taken over too much yet, and like,
yeah, because anyone can make The Room now.
If it happened now, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is you don't need as much money as he had to make that movie.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that
I don't know if The Room looks that much better than Spawn here. Like, I feel like anybody can make that movie.
No, I agree. I think it's interesting that because we always live so definitively in the moment, and then I look back at a lot of things I love and are genuinely loved across the board that were not when they came out. Things that were very. I mean, The Thing is a big one. The Thing is considered one of the classic pillars of science fiction horror, up there with Alien. It was despised when it came out.
Right.
And I think that's interesting, and I wonder.
I don't have an answer for that.
But then I also try to predict it, where I'm like, are there movies that I hated that in 10 years are going to be classics? Like,
well, and I think some of it depends on how the culture changes too. Where if people go back to things despite the fact that they have, you know, 20% on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, just because it was, you know, $5 in the Walmart bin and you didn't look it up first. Because let's face it, there are still plenty of people And you know this because B-movies still exist.
People still love Underworld and Resident Evil.
But you know this because you still have Asylum films. People still buy things based on the fact that they're cheap and that the picture looks interesting on the box, or maybe somebody they know is in it, right? It's funny because you and I complain that we that a lot of people, I say we culturally, that a lot of people are looking too much toward the criticism in whether or not they're going to give anything a chance or to make up their minds for them. But at the same time, how many people do you know that at least before they look at something on video, let's forget the theater, if they think something looks interesting, do people do the same thing that they do when they find like a book in a retail store and they think they can get it cheaper on Amazon? Does everybody actually go on their phone and look it up on Rotten Tomatoes, and if it has an 18%, they're not going to give it their $5? I don't think so.
No, I think you're right.
And because of that, I think the reappraisal can still happen.
I think we can agree.
Because if we get 20 years down the line and suddenly a movie that we hated a few years ago is more understood because it's speaking to the culture because it was like ahead of its time or something, I want to think that still happens.
I think we can both
oversaturation though could get in the way of that.
That's true.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think we can both probably agree that in 20, 30 years we will not be living in a world where everyone has reappraised The Spirit as a comedic and noir masterpiece, simultaneous comedic noir action masterpiece.
I think The Spirit ends up falling squarely in the ends of the growing pains era of superhero filmmaking, and the problem is Frank Miller made it, and Frank Miller is thought of as majoritively a crackpot now in storytelling. It's just that's goofy for old Frank Miller making his weird old Frank Miller things. Yeah, it'll always be like that. I also don't think it should be considered that. I like it more than most people, but I don't think the people who made it understand it. So
no, that was my favorite thing about listening to the commentary, because the version of the DVD I have does not have commentary. You had to buy like the specific like Best Buy version that you had.
Did I have it?
Yeah, you had the special, because you told me this years ago when you bought it.
Commentary.
Yes, you told me this years ago that you specifically bought it that way because there's a commentary and only that version could have it.
I didn't even remember that.
So one day, I think it was last year when you went away for Christmas. Last year when you went away for Christmas, I grabbed out the shelf and I watched with commentary, and it's amazing because they talk about it the way I experience it, which is when the scenes are dramatic and beautiful, they talk about them as dramatic and beautiful, and when they're stupid, they talk about them like they're stupid. When they're funny, they talk about them like they're funny. They also are existing in scene by scene.
There's no pretense in that commentary.
That each scene of like, because this is the thing is, I think you can take almost any scene in that film out of context, and it mostly works as a scene. It's the whole that doesn't exactly fit together, but that's how they talk about it, as if, and this scene is a beautiful tragic scene, and this scene is a foot and it's hilarious. Like, that's exactly how they talk about it. It's amazing. Like it's so weird. Oh, that feels so weird. I love it.
I get why people hate that movie.
I get, but to me, that's not
Is it a taste thing?
It's a taste thing. It is an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, not because...
But I also understand the people who think that was really unfair to Will Eisner. And, like, I get
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
I get the Spirit isn't faithful enough to the spirit of the Spirit.
Sure.
Went there.
Sure.
Much more than I understand people who hate Watchmen because it shouldn't have been made.
Or the people that don't like Sin City 2.
Yeah.
Boy, do I not understand those people. If you didn't like Sin City 1, like that's whatever, but that's and I think the Spirit is largely
I get not liking the one vignette that I don't
the Nancy one. That's
fine.
That
doesn't work, but
anyway. I think like the whole thing, I don't know. Anyways, no reviews here. No reviews here.
But anyway, wow, that was a really interesting question. But yeah, I mean, time will tell. I mean, we live in such a fascinating and impossible to predict kind of world right now. I mean, in some ways, it feels like the most interesting time to be alive, especially for pop culture.
I'm waiting to see where this all goes.
Some kind of a bubble, right?
Yeah, this is all some
Hollywood. And it's hard not to think, and I don't mean to start another loaded thing when I say this. This is not a topic of conversation, but it's hard not to feel like this is almost just like a, you know, my spider senses tingling kind of thing. My instincts are telling me that, like, and like, don't trust my instincts, but this is just what I can't help but think that somehow this what's been going on in Hollywood with over the last 6 months, so many people getting like dragged out of Hollywood for sex scandals and stuff. That, like, somehow that's the beginning of the end of Hollywood.
I mean, we can only hope.
Yeah. Of at least the machine the way it is, right?
Yeah, and wouldn't it be interesting if all of a sudden the _1, like, entertainment maker is the Wild West again? For entertainment making.
Right.
If all of a sudden it's...
By Wild West, he means just people in the basement, just anybody making stuff.
Yeah. What if the machine largely gets dismantled? Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah.
Because obviously there will always be studio films. I don't think the studio will completely collapse. But, like, what if it's not as powerful as it is right now? I think that's possible. I think that's really interesting.
Well, there's a lot of, just like with cable companies trying to hang on to the power that they have.
Yeah.
Folks, thanks for watching. We sure appreciate it. I know this was an extra long one tonight, but Eric and I ended up just having way too much that we wanted to talk about, and everything just went long and had too many layers to
like pie.
to delve into. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. We sure appreciate you as always. We'll be back in 2 more weeks for another Geekvolution After Dark, and join us for more Batmania, which is of course primarily what we're putting out right now. And I said Batmania will go through January. We'll also of course spill into February. I don't know exactly how far into February it's gonna end up
it's
going.
40 something.
No, it's like, it's close to 40. It was initially, the count was like 33, 34.
But we've had more since then. And we forgot about the kids films, didn't we? The Unlimited ones?
No. Those were part of my count. But Two-Face was not in that count because
Batman
Harley Quinn. No, what was in that count?
Okay.
I think Two-Face came after it.
Okay.
And but there's 2 more that we tack in on the end. So I don't have the list in front of me. I don't know what exactly the number is. It's not quite 40, I don't think. But anyway, so it'll but because we're skipping the weekends, it'll be like 20 in January. So it might actually take up a lot of February also. But we will come back and do an omnibus sometime in February and get back to those regularly again as well. Hopefully. We're shooting as much Batmania as often as humanly possible, so we're going to try not to let that get away from us and get to where we just can't make omnibuses, but omnibuy. But obviously, we're going to prioritize that so that we don't have the issue that we had with Marvel Mania. But we still do have quite a few in the can right now, and we're shooting them in a pretty good clip right now. And I got to say, that has been as much fun as Marvel Mania was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love these, and I hope we can keep coming up with cool ideas for them, because I'd like to keep doing them.
Yeah, the third one's been kind of difficult.
Yeah, we have
down the idea.
We have ideas, but there's the whole, well, do you want to have to do 60 of them, or is like 20 too few? There's a whole lot of that.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll take ideas if people have ideas, but with Marvel and with Batman, it was easy to be completionist about it. It was easy to go, we're going to do all of this category. So I mean, obviously you have to cut it out off someplace with Batman, but it's like, Batman, we're going to do everything with Batman in the title.
and Dark Knight Rises. And synonyms for Batman.
Synonyms for Batman. Asterisks. But wait for the Dark Knight commentary. That's all I have to say. But because we talk about that whole thing in that. But we're having a hard time nailing down other categories like that, where you can have a whole completion thing.
Where it's not too much or too little.
I don't mind saying, I guess for Patreon, it's probably okay to talk about this. One idea we're kicking around for the next one, and these will be yearly if we keep doing them.
The plan is to do them in January, and always kick off the new year with a Mania.
Yeah.
That's the idea. That's why we moved Batmania to
which we would never thought to do if it weren't for the really positive responses we got with Marvel Mania. People just ate it up with a spoon. And Batmania has been much the same way. People are really enjoying
That's
it.
Great.
And we're just tickled pink about it because they're so much fun to make.
Yeah.
And they're really relaxing. Like, it doesn't feel like work. We're just watching a movie with you.
Yeah,
it's so much fun to do that.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way Eric and I watch things that we're already familiar with anyway, it's not that far removed from how we do Mania.
Yeah,
we do
really.
talk a lot.
Yeah.
We watch things that we're familiar with anyway.
Yep.
But we were kicking around. We're still kicking around the idea of doing a pilot mania for live-action superhero shows.
And then we looked at how many there were.
There's so many of them.
How many you could get a hold of, and some of them you can't get a hold of, but they're like $70 or.
And so I don't know if you could realistically do all of them. And then it's like, well, you could pick a house. You could do like DC pilots or Marvel pilots, but I don't know
you still run into
the number would
both of
run
those
into.
still run into. At Marvel, you have Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, and at DC,
Right.
you've got like the Justice League pilot, and you've got.
But you could cut it out. But you could cap it off as we only do pilots of shows that really got made.
Yeah,
There are things we want to
but
do.
then I don't know if there's enough.
Oh, there are plenty.
Okay.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
But then you end up with the issue of, do you really want to do all the recent really shitty Marvel pilots?
Yep.
There's kind of too many of those that I just don't want to have to do. But I mean, if we decided to do it, we do it. It's just I don't know. But anyway, so that's the thing we're kicking around. It's an idea we had, and that would be kind of fun if we got away from movies and did it with TV. And you know, like you could pick and choose things in a show, but then it's just like a marathon. So I don't know. So we're kicking stuff around. But anyway, thanks again for watching, folks. We appreciate it, and looking forward to your comments. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Aaron.
And we'll see you next time.